So, hello everyone again. I'm Daniel. I am App Solutions Architect here at Make. And basically my job is to figure stuff out all day, every day. And today with me, I have Shiran from Make, who is head of our marketing team. Then we have Ancy from Airtable. She's coming from the product marketing team. And then we have Nico from Typeform, who is developer advocate for the platform. And this is how it's going to go today. First of all, we will make introductions about our companies. That will take about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we will move to the practical part of the session where I will be presenting the automation / process automation use case, where we'll be collecting customer feedback as advertised in our invites. That will take about 30 minutes. When we are done with the practical part, we will open it for questions. So we will have about 10 to 15 minutes for questions. If there are no questions, we will simply end early because we don't want to hold you here. So with this, I think, Shiran, the floor is yours, and you can tell us something about Make and our recent efforts. So please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Shiran. As Dan said, I am head of marketing at Make. You may have known Make originally as Integromat. Make is actually the newest version of our flagship platform. So we have some pretty interesting numbers. We have over 530,000 users around the world. We're in 180 countries, and so far we've seen about 500% year-over-year growth. So we're doing pretty well. And actually, our mission is really to empower people to visually create, build, and automate at the speed of their ideas. We understand that launching and scaling a business, especially a small business, comes with many sets of challenges. And we know that many business owners have a really difficult time being able to creatively respond to those challenges due to lack of time, lack of finances, lack of resources. And so for us, what really drives us is actually a world where anyone, whether you're someone on the technical side, someone on the non-technical side, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're a person in a very large company, that anyone has the actual power to be able to innovate and solve problems on the day-to-day without any limitations. And Make is the leading visual automation platform that lets you design, build, and automate anything by connecting thousands of apps in just a few clicks. And what actually makes our platform so unique, there's obviously other integration tools out there, but they're usually linear and limited as well. What we really pride ourselves on is the actual ability to, with the mind map feature of our platform, which for us is really being able to imagine the way a workflow should be in your mind and being able to build it just by dragging and dropping and being able to actually interact with the platform. So when you're building a workflow on Make and you run it, you can actually see it in real time, and you can see the data as it's moving from one app to the next. And as we said before, you can choose from over 1,000 ready-made app integrations, or you can actually use our no-code toolkit to connect to any public API. And with Make, really the sky is the limit. Any area of a business can work with Make, can create any type of workflow. So whether you're in dev, product, operations, project management, marketing, sales, HR, and so on. If you're experiencing a problem in the workplace, whether it's needing to simplify the customer journey, being able to respond to customers faster, being able to manage projects in between teams within a company, you can actually really just come up with the solution yourself and just build it on our platform. So really, as far as your imagination can see. Thank you. Dan, you can move on now.
All right, so thanks, Shiran. Now it's done for Ancy from Airtable, who will tell us something more about Airtable and what it can do. So Ancy, go for it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And everyone, so nice to meet you today. Really excited to get to share a little bit with you alongside this amazing panel on how different systems like Make and Airtable and Typeform can really, really work better together. I'm a product marketer here, and I'm really excited to share a little bit around how customer-obsessed teams can really mitigate information silos to deliver customized and personalized experiences. To basically level set us a little bit, at a glance, Airtable is a really highly customizable, no-code and low-code application platform that makes it really easy for teams to design their own applications to run their processes and workflows. And so this really empowers the people who know their part of the business best to design flexible and scalable applications that work exactly the way that their teams need to. We're super proud to support 80% of the Fortune 500, and we see deep usage across over 1 million users spanning 300,000 organizations as customers. And so we believe this really demonstrates the need for a system like Airtable to really redefine how cross-functional teams work together by moving fast while moving together through shared organization-wide data sets. And so the main kind of challenge that we're solving through the conversations that we've had with many organizations is that they're feeling that they're not meeting the bar for efficiency and struggling to meet demands around speed and customer centricity. And the reason that we see this is because customer centricity is super cross-functional, requiring seamless orchestration of teams across marketing, research, product, and engineering, but work is really distributed, and there's a few challenges that we see. So first, teams need to understand the customer with feedback, but they really lack the ability to centralize and understand insights. And that makes it really, really hard to deliver campaigns or build products that customers really need. And Daniel is going to be walking us through kind of a demo of what that looks like as well. And secondly, teams really struggle with the notion of planning and prioritizing their initiatives in a aligned way. And this really leads to duplicative work and, lack of coordination and no source of truth. Thirdly, there's a challenge around production. So being able to manage readouts and approvals and project execution, which is really, really highly manual today, and teams don't know if they're on track relative to their goals. And finally, in order to measure success, when data is fragmented, it's really hard to understand operational efficiency and impact on the business. And so this lack of visibility not only keeps executives up at night, but it also creates a lot of extra work for teams who are manually cobbling together outdated reports and dashboards. And so net, there's an inability to really act on what matters most to the customer and a misaligned strategy that isn't tied to company goals, as well as poor execution and burned out teams. And so what Airtable really allows non-technical users to do is to bridge those information silos and easily build applications and processes that can immediately scale and change as the business does. And so there's three kind of foundational elements of an application: data, logic, and interface. The first notion here is data, which really stores the data that's essential throughout workflows, and everything kind of builds on top of this. So things like assets and vendors, campaigns, feedback, and more. So what we do is we allow you to define the data and create relationships that prevent information duplication, instead of being forced into a specific data structure that leads to silos or difficulty of tracking truly accurate information. And so teams can ingest data from any number of tools like Typeform and Zendesk for customer feedback, or email CSV, and create powerful relationships between that data. And next is the logic layer, which does the heavy lifting of processing information and automating workflows with, awesome platforms like Make and Slack to really enable flexible actions and reminders and asset distribution to different channels like Hootsuite and Twitter. And so many of our customers are able to save many, many hours per week through automations. And finally, the interface layer of an application is where users can input and consume and visualize the same information in different ways that meet their specific needs. So in ways like calendar, Kanban, gallery, and more, this really enables us to be that single system that can flex to meet the needs of diverse teams operating off of that shared information. And so calendars can be synced to things like other calendar tools. Filtered asset views can be synced to wikis or websites, and custom analytics dashboards can include information from BI tools and more. So stakeholders can really get that exact real-time view of information they need. And so this is all really underpinned by this notion of ease of use, so anyone can easily get value without needing to write a single line of code. And so what I'll leave you here with, and I think this also dovetails really, really nicely with what Shiran was saying earlier, is that the world is truly your oyster with being able to integrate these types of systems. And so here's a sampling of the common use cases that we really see across our customers. And the vast majority of our customers have multiple use cases on Airtable because of how information in Airtable really has compounding value across teams, including internal and external stakeholders. And so with that, super excited to hand it off to Nico to share a little bit about Typeform.
Okay, so the last but not least, Nico, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Nicolas. I'm a developer advocate at Typeform, and I take care of the developers, but I'm also taking care of the no-coders like you. If you don't know about Typeform, we're originally from Barcelona in Spain. We've been around for a couple of years. We have about 100,000 customers around the world, and we just raised a Series C. So that gives you an idea of who we are. But I feel that if you want to talk about the product, if you want to talk about what we do, maybe I should give you some context and tell you a bit about what's going on in the world. And one thing that we found, one thing that we have noticed, and I'm sure you notice this in your everyday life, brands and customers interact in different ways now. Especially brands and the customers are expecting more from those brands, trying to consume more local, trying to have things that are embracing their values. But the way to connect those two is different. It's not the typical marketing anymore. And you have to engage into better conversations with your customers. And so this is the goal. This is our goal at Typeform, is trying to make sure that you as a small business, you as a big brand, you as someone that is running a marketing department, you have all the tools to be closer to your customer and do that at scale. We do this with two different main products. Typeform, which is our oldest product, but that keeps evolving. It's a form solution, really, one question at a time, where you get to ask the relevant question to the relevant people in a meaningful way and through scale, because you do this with millions of people, thousands of people, it's just one form and it works great. If you want to engage in a more personal way, we have Video Ask, and this is where your face is the best interface. You get to do a one-on-one conversation. So this is great for a job application. This is great when you introduce your small business and you want to do support. There are many awesome use cases where you can use this. And this is, I think, what we're going to hack on a bit today. If you haven't seen Typeform, we try to build really a conversational form. You get to have a easy interface, engaging interface was, like, as I say, one question at a time, so people get to focus on the question that they're answering right now and they don't be lost in the rest of things. It's beautiful, it's branded. You can use images from galleries that we have with Unsplash and Pixels. Through this conversational interface, we want to make this more personal. So you've filled up so many forms online that you are really familiar with the form. It throws this at you, like first name, last name, address. And this is not really a way to engage. So we try to make things differently, where you will be able to say, hey, what's your name? How should I call you? Hi, Nico. What's your favorite dish? All right, this is awesome. You like ice cream. What do you think about and then certainly this is a real conversation. Although you're interacting with a form, this is definitely more engaging. We also have conditional branching, and this is helpful so you can ask the relevant question to the relevant people. And in this case, imagine applying for a job. And if you're applying for a marketing job, maybe you don't want to ask the questions like, what is your favorite programming language? It might make no sense. So instead, you can say, oh, if they say that they're applying for the marketing job, then let's ask them about their marketing stack. What is your favorite backend solution, no-code solution, this type of thing. So now you have a form that is like augmented, and that lets you really engage at a personal level with your customers. We talked about design. You bring your brand to us. You are the best version of yourself using a Typeform. You change the colors, you add images, you put logos. This is your canvas, really. And your form will look different than others. And you can make this very branded experience. And if you have a recipe to this webinar, you went through a Typeform that looked gorgeous. Of course, once you have collected the data, we want this data to flow in all your different systems, and we want your data to be connected with all the tools that you're using. And so we offer integrations with a bunch of systems, including Make and Airtable. So you can start a workflow from Typeform and spread it in different places. We also have an API if you want to make more customizations, and webhook if you want to do stuff on your own. We offer you also some ways to have some basic analytics on what's going on with your data, how many people have submitted, what is the average response thing. But now you're empowered to make wise decisions. And of course, you don't need to code anything. And I think that's the beauty of it. You can use many of our templates. We have templates for a lot of use cases. So we talked about a job application. We talk about a lead generation form. You can use it for customer feedback. You can use it internally for Q&A in the company. Like, you can use it for many things. And you can also use it if you want to RSVP to a birthday party. This is just a small, tiny use case on the site. Yeah, so in the end, we turn Typeform into a data collection, into more conversation. So you can say goodbye to the robotic forms. Now it's a more human interaction at a personal level, something that's more fun to answer. And through this, you'll get a higher response rate, better data. People are saying give you more information, and you get to build a stronger relationship between you and your customers. All right, excited to hack together.
All right, so thanks guys for the introductions, and now let's get real and let's start building some scenarios. Well, actually showing some real scenarios. I am going to start share my screen and I will show you what the today's practice session is going to be about. So basically, as advertised in the invite, we will be collecting customer feedback, and there'll be two ways how to collect it. One will be via Typeform form, which is regular text input, right? But the other will be via Video Ask, which Nico has mentioned. And then, when the feedback is collected, it will all land here in Airtable, in this nice table where we will simply collect email name, we will set source, we will collect text answers, but at the same time, we will also collect files. So in case people respond via Video Ask and they leave us a media file, we will also upload it to here. So the person, whoever is operating with the staple and who is distributing this feedback to relevant teams, can also watch what the message was. And when the feedback is collected, the operator of this table will be able to send the feedback to engineering. For example, if people say, hey, product is broken, it doesn't work, well, you can send it to engineering from here. And of course, all the magic behind will be managed by Make. And in order to make this work, I have prepared 3 scenarios today. So the first one will be a very simple one where we simply listen for Typeform responses, and then we create new records in Airtable. The second one will be listening for Video Ask responses, but this one is more difficult because the structure of the response is a bit more advanced than in case of Typeform. And then the third scenario, which I will show you, is what I call notification distribution. So, when I was going through this selector, there are multiple teams, and multiple teams have different requirements. So some teams, they, for example, require the message to be sent via email, for example, marketing. But then other teams like engineering, customer support, and finance, they want to have their messages delivered via Slack. So we are using our router to do it. But before we dive into this, into the real runs, I want to also show you Make, how it looks, in case you don't know it. So this is Make. Basically, this is the new Integromat, right? It's very similar to what we used to have, but there are nice new features. If you have never seen Make before, this is your homepage. Here we show you what your operation consumption is, and operations, that's one of the units how you are built. So the more you consume, the more you pay. But at the same time, with Make's introduction, you are also able to buy lots of features or not so much features. So for example, if you want to have many operations, but not all the features, you can buy it. But if you don't want to have that many operations, but you want to have all the features, you can buy it too. So we have this matrix of combinations which you can opt for. With the introduction of Make, there is a huge new feature which we were asked for, and that's teams. So once you create your organization, you can also create teams within the organization. That means that you can have finance team, customer support, marketing, and those teams coexist side by side, but they are kind of siloed. So, you know, user from one team cannot go to the other unless he's added to both teams. And it means that there's like higher security, you know, users cannot break things by mistake, etc. So you can have one org with 50 teams and it will still be built under one account. Moving down the list, here we have a list of all your scenarios. You know, since I work here at Make, I have quite a few because I do lots of testing. You can actually group your scenarios into folder to keep things tidy. So for today's webinar, you know, I prepared this folder with 3 scenarios, which I showed you earlier. Other than that, there is no like performance impact or anything like that. It's really just to keep things tidy. Here we have templates. Templates are very useful for newcomers. You know, if you need to get inspiration or if you want to get quickly started with something, you can search through templates and see whether that template is already built. And if you like a template, you can just select it, you know, and start building scenario right from here. And the wizard will take you through the setup process. So it's very easy way to start and very easy way to build simple flows. Of course, if you have very specific use case, which requires 50 modules, you are not going to find it in templates because it's simply too complicated and it's too unique. Then here we have connections. So this is the list of all your connections within the team. So once you set up a connection, you can reuse it in future scenarios and you don't have to go through reauthorization over and over. Here we have webhooks. So for those who don't know what webhooks are, those are basically real-time listeners for events coming from the outside world to Make. So we generate a unique URL for you, use that URL in the source system, and then the system is pinging information to this URL. And this is basically a simple list of all your webhooks with scenarios, and you can also check out like payloads and what's in the queue, etc. And then last thing which I'm going to mention here is data stores. So that's one of the very important features within Make, more for advanced users. But if you are working on a advanced use case and it requires more scenarios and it requires actually storing data as output of one scenario so it can be reused in another scenario later, that's what you go for. You store the data to data stores and then you can retrieve the data and use it later, you know, in all the depending scenarios. Of course, you don't have to use this feature. You can still store your data in Airtable or Google Sheets or Excel, whenever, but data stores are, you know, inbuilt within Make, so it's pretty much by far the fastest database out there. So I strongly recommend you to check this feature out, and it can save you lots of headaches. And here's some resources, you know, help section. If you get stuck, you can always contact the support team. Sometimes you will find me even supporting your tickets, so maybe we will meet eventually. And that's pretty much it for the interface. The other stuff which I skip is quite advanced and not probably applicable to everyone. So let's go to the scenarios and let's start running things for real. So as we said, we are gonna collect feedback about products. So we have a very simple form, you know, it will ask for name, email, and what I think about the product, just one question. And we'll see how it flows through Make, how it flows to Airtable. So I'm going to start filling out this simple form. I will use my fake address. Then there's the first. And now the important question. Please tell us what you think about our product. Well, of course, I like it. The moment I press submit button, I want this scenario to process the answer. Normally, you would have this scenario turned on and it would just process everything in the background, but we want to see what's happening here in real time, right? So I'm going to run it once and then we will see the execution, what it did, etc. So I'm going to press the submit button and then I'm going to quickly switch to the Make tab. So, all right. So now the answer was processed in real time, right? It took like half a second. We can go to Airtable and see, all right, the answer is here. Yes, it's from me. It was from Typeform. I like the product, and that's pretty much it. There is no file because, you know, it was just simple form. The files will come with video ask submissions. And let's go back to Make and see what actually happened here. So Here we can see what arrived, what the data arrived, and we can see there is email, there is name, and please tell us what you think question. And then in Airtable, we are basically creating a new row or new record in this target base and in this target table by either mapping items. So if I did not have it prepared, I would simply map, email like this. So it's really what Shiran said, it's just dragging and dropping, very visual, very simple. On the other hand, you don't always have to map everything, because in case of source, it's always going to be Typeform, right? And there is no like Typeform value coming here as a static value. So you can just type it on your keyboard, and that static text will also be inserted to Airtable. And here, similarly for next step. So the next step is actually a dropdown, but nevertheless, we can still type that dropdown option here. And it was also, created here as a value, even though it's a dropdown. So that was very simple scenario, but it doesn't end here, right? So maybe this is not enough for you. And maybe you want to get a notification to Slack that there was a new submission. So how to expand the scenario actually? Well, you can click this plus button here, look for Slack. And now we've added Slack app into the scenario, and all these line items, those are called modules in our world. And basically those are endpoints which we are using from that particular API. So in my case, when I want to send a Slack message, I just select create Slack message, I drag and drop it like this. When I get close enough, it's automatically getting connected to those preceding modules, and now it's mapping time. So in my case, I would want to select my target channel from a list. I would want to use private channel, and I want to use one of my test channels, right? My Integromat testing. It's still the old channel name from the Integromat era, but it doesn't really matter. And here you can pre-format your message. So we can say, hey, a new submission received in Typeform, name, colon, and then again, you can combine and you can send a name variable as the message. And the next time the scenario would run, I would also get a notification. But when it comes to Slack, we will have it in the last scenario. So I'm not going to run this part again. All right, so this was really easy, right? Very straightforward, 2 or 3 modules, no complications whatsoever. You can do it with Make. But what if there is something more difficult? So let's go to Video Ask now and submit a video response. And for that, I will have to post my video stream because I cannot be recording 2 things at once. So I will stop the video for now. And I'm going to create video response. So please tell us what you think. All right, it's very simple. Okay, so hello, I really like your product again. Yeah, it's not very inventing answer, but it will do. I'm ready to send. Now again, I'm asked for name. So it will be done through the second. This is Rust, XYZ. And again, the moment I press this button, it would normally get processed in real time, but we want to see what's going to happen in this magic, right? So I'm going to start listening for that response, and then I will quickly switch back. So sending. And now the answer is processed. We can check in Airtable what happened. And we can see the answer is here. I'm going to start sharing my video again. The answer is really here. We can see that this time there was no text. So I just inserted this placeholder. We can see that it came from Video Ask, and we can see the file with the response. It's uploaded here, and we can actually play it, right? So I don't have to watch myself, but it's really here and it worked. And then, select was already pre-filled and nothing in this column yet. So now the question is, what happened in that scenario? And when people see iterator, it's a bit frightening for them because they don't always know what it means, especially if they are new to Make, but I will explain. So the first thing which we did here, we received the answer, and we can see that in the answer, we got array of answers. In my case, there was just one answer, so there is only one item in the array, but if there was 50 answers, there would be 50 items in the array. And for my answer, it was media answer. So this media URL actually exists, and that's where the file sits, which you need to actually take and then push to Airtable so it can be downloaded into that table. In the next step, we created new record in Airtable. Again, same base, same table. We added email, name, and source. We just hard-coded video ask, right? No text because we don't know whether it was text or not yet. And then next step. So pretty simple. But now, in this create a record module, we actually did not store any responses, and we have to go about it later. And this is how to go about it. So in this section, I am processing answers in case there was text inserted. So, at the beginning of the video ask, I had an option. Yes, I chose video, but I could very well choose text. I didn't, but we have to be ready for these instances. So here I am processing answers array, and I'm going through all the answers one by one, and I'm focusing on those where the input is text, right? And I'm saying, hey, if text exists, then give me that value, and then aggregate it into a string, which would return answer number and the actual answer. And once I aggregate to the string, I update the record which I created moments ago with the real value. But as I said, in my case, and as we saw, there was no text. So I am inserting this placeholder value, and I'm saying, hey, if the text is actually empty, then just use this value as a placeholder. So the field is not empty. And that's what happened here, right? It's here. And speaking of formulas, that's, again, one of the very powerful features within Make, because if you master formulas, you can save, lots of modules, lots of operations, and you can really streamline your scenarios. And, it's not only about if empty formula. If you know Excel formulas or Google Sheets or Airtable formulas, you'll be pretty familiar with our formulas because we have logical formulas here. We have, of course, math functions here, all the regular math operations. We have lots of text functions, to convert cases, to even do hashes, MD5, SAH, etc. We do have lots of time and date functions. So, if you need to calculate 5 days from now, you can do it with formulas within Make. And then last but not least, but extremely powerful, we have array formulas. So if you learn how to handle arrays within Make with formulas, you are pretty much power user and nothing can stop you. And as Shiran said, sky is the limit when it comes to scenarios. All right, so let's move on. And now it's time to finally process the important piece in this step. And there's the media, right? The file, the video I uploaded with my answer. So we are going to start the same. So again, we are going to iterate through the answers. So we'll process one by one. But this time we are interested in answers where media URL exists, right? And when that URL exists, we have to prepare a key value pairs, which are expected by Airtable when you are trying to insert files through API. And the keys are file name and the URL, and then the values would be for file name answer underscore number. This actually does not matter that much, what the file name is. What really matters is to have the correct URL from which Airtable can actually go and download that recorded file. Once you prepare these variables, then we simply aggregate them with our array aggregator like this, nothing else. It's super simple. And then as the very last step, we take that array which we prepared here and we map it and upload it to files, right? So essentially what happened here when creating the row, the new record in Airtable was that we first created pretty much blank row. We just added the name and email. Then we would potentially update it with text, but in my case, there was no text, so no update was actually made. But then at the last step, we uploaded the file, the recording of me answering the question, right? So we broke down the quite complex problem at the beginning to smaller pieces, and we were able to complete the task. And yes, this is probably not something which you won't do on the first day within Make, but after a few days, you will learn it, you will play with iterators and aggregators, and then you'll get there. And once you figure out aggregators, iterators, and arrays, you are set for life. Okay, so now let's go to the third scenario where we want to actually distribute, these pieces of feedback to corresponding teams where appropriate. So let's say, the person who is managing this table wants to send this to marketing team. So the person would simply select send to marketing, and this would go to engineering, right? Then in Make, we would have this scenario with router, which is basically a way how to branch out incoming bundles into multiple routes based on if conditions, right? It's an if condition for your logic. So what I'm doing here is I'm watching for changed items in Airtable, and whenever they arrive, I check them. And I say, hey, if the next step value, which is the value in this dropdown, is equal to send to marketing, then a message will be sent to marketing via email. And once the message is sent, it's very simple message. It's like email, name, and text of the feedback plus direct link to Airtable, where I am again, using static string. But one piece is variable, and that's the record ID. So whenever that link is clicked in the email, it will directly take me to Airtable. So I prepare this message, send it to marketing team, and then I update the Airtable table with a timestamp saying what happened into the last action notes. We will see that. And I also revert the next step back to select in case someone will ever want to send that message to another team. And similarly, I do similar things for the Slack-based routes, right? Because let's say these teams, they just prefer to get notifications via Slack. So I, again, configure the message. It's very same principle as before. And again, I update the record in Airtable exactly as before. So let's run the scenario and see what happens. All right, so it went through. We can go back to Airtable, and we can see that this was reverting back to select. The message was sent, and this message was also sent to Slack. So now we can go ahead and check out my email and see whether I'm lying or not. Basically, I got this notification because, of course, here I'm marketing, I'm engineering, I'm customer support, so it all ends up with me again. And I got this email 0 minutes ago with the message, and if I click this link, I will be taken to that particular record in Airtable. And we can actually see all the changes which I've been doing through the API, right, with my connection. So it appears to be me, but as noted here, it's done via API and it's done by Make. Okay, what about the Slack part? Did it work? Well, let's see. Let me pull out my Slack. And it looks like it has worked. So here, this is our local time, so it's 1 minute ago. And as we learned, engineering team wants to get messages to Slack. So I'm engineering team, and yep, it's here. And again, if I click this link, I would be taken to Airtable, and I will be able to see what's going on, play the message, etc. So, we are slowly getting to the end. We saw that, at the beginning, we had 3 apps which don't really talk to each other, or they do, but it's not exactly what you need. But with Make, we were able to connect Typeform, Video Ask to Airtable, and then have basic, action taken from selection in Airtable by sending this message. And it's pretty simple. I spent maybe an hour and a half on building this with practicing. If you are new, yes, it would probably take you longer, but it's not that difficult as it looks at first sight. And the hardest part is always not to build a scenario. It's not that. The hardest part is to start. So you guys if you like this, you should start. At least try it. If it doesn't work out for you, then fine. But I'm pretty sure that most of you would manage. Speaking of Airtable and managing stuff in Airtable, I would also want to mention one thing. If you are not familiar with Airtable, it can be a really nice feature. If you know Airtable well, you already know, but you can actually build views on the top of Airtable where you basically take your source table and then you have predefined views with pre-configured filters, which are always available. So here, I have only Typeform responses, and here I have only Video Ask responses. If I am just in mood for watching stuff, I could just go line by line. And if I make an edit here, it would be all propagated back to the source table, and vice versa. If I made a change here, it would go all the way back to Video Ask view or even back to Typeform view. So this is really, really powerful feature, which we use a lot here at Make. And yes, of course, you can do something similar in Google Sheets, but it's not that user-friendly to build, and it's very easy to actually make. So I wanted to point it out, that make use of views when working in Airtable. Okay, so we will soon open it for questions. And I just want to wrap up this practical part. So, at the beginning, you had something siloed, no information being passed around. With Make, we automated it. You have a process in place. There is basically no room for error unless you make a bad selection here, right? If you send it to wrong team by, making bad select here, yeah, it's an error, but no more copying, no more pasting, it's all flowing into your source. And then from there, you can simply manage it yourself. So no errors. And also, of course, you save time on copying and pasting and retrieving all that information manually from Typeform or Video Ask or whenever. And this is not just about this particular process where we were collecting feedback from our customers, right? It can be any data collection process, but look pretty much the same, right? Collect data with Typeform or Video Ask, pass it to a centralized database in Airtable, and then take action by probably selecting an action item from a dropdown in Airtable. So very, very generic use case, and I'm pretty sure you could make use of it in your organizations, even if it's not about feedback collection. Okay, so right now I think we can open it for questions. We have about 15 minutes left as we expected, and you can actually go ahead and start asking in the chat. Before we get questions, I want to tell you what's going to happen after today, right? So are you gonna get some coupons or something? That's probably the question you wanna hear. Yes, there will be an email coming tomorrow your way, and you will get discounted licenses for Make, Typeform, and Video Ask. It's a Shrek time, exactly. As I can see on chat, it's Shrek time indeed. And for Airtable, they have free tiers, so you don't even need a coupon, so you can try that yourself. And the email should be coming sometime tomorrow. So stay tuned. It will be reasonable discounts for everyone who showed up. I'm not sure if even people who did not show up are gonna get the email. I'm not sure about that, but you guys who are here, you will definitely get the email. Okay, so I will open up chat. I guess I can start sharing it here on my screen, and we can start answering the questions. Okay, I'd love to see an array tutorial for Make. I think we have some on YouTube already. And if you get stuck with arrays, you can always ask our support to help you with your specific case, because arrays can be a bit tricky. Instant notification. Is there a field? Sorry, is there instant notification to Make when the field is updated in Airtable? No, not at this point. Right now, it's based on schedule, so we can run that scenario every minute. I'm actually not sure why we don't have a webhook-based notification. Maybe it's not available, but we can check with Airtable guys after the session. Is there a way to get questions title in videos without having to iterate? Were included. I'm afraid right now you do have to iterate, but maybe we could do something about that module, and maybe we could prepare those answers in a better way so it can be easily consumed. I will take down a note for this.
Yeah, I think right now the module is consuming directly the API and just returning what we have from the API. So there's probably a small helper that could be built in the middle to actually fit your use case.
Yeah, I will talk to our devs about this. It should be doable. The big difference between Make and Zapier. Look, guys, I don't want to talk down our competition, but as you saw with Make, we have these routers, we have iterations, and you have this unlimited flexibility to build pretty much anything, right? Like when you need to build linear stuff on Zapier, it's probably fine, like you'll get by. But the moment you need to build something complicated, you will probably get stuck. And when I always use this example, which is actually internal, but it's not total secret. But on Make, you can build crazy stuff. One run of this scenario consumes 80,000 operations, and this is one scenario with 300 modules or so, and it still works. And with proper use of routers and iterations and aggregations, you can build crazy things on Make. Like, yes, this is still running in Integromat, but on Make it would run too. So that's probably the difference. We manage the simplicity very well. Scenarios like this one, 3 modules, and you are good to go. But at the same time, you can build pretty much unlimited automations. Well, there's always the limit with runtime, which is, I think, 60 minutes right now on Make. Okie dokie. The big difference. Question for Typeform. What's the status? What is the status of our referral reseller programs? I think we'll have to answer this after the meeting because we probably don't have all the important people. Or do you guys know what's happening on your side, Nico and Ancy?
Yeah, so on our side, we do have an agency in referral program. You look for a Typeform, I think it's Typeform/partner. But if you look for a Typeform agency program, you'll find there. You need to apply. We have a certification program. And as you go through the process in your different tiers, you get access to different perks. But it does exist, and we're working with hundreds of agencies right now. So please, if you're one of those, come talk to us.
Yes, absolutely. And on the Airtable side, we're currently working on building out our referral and reseller program. And we just kind of begun to spin up our consultants directory where, pre-approved consultants are going to be able to, be listed on our directory to provide services to our clientele. So more to come on that very soon.
And for us at Make, well, we do have partner program where you can actually apply to become integration partner. You can apply to become our affiliate. And also, if you bring really big deals to us, we can also agree on some sort of commission. So there are multiple options on Make's side, and maybe it's probably best if you reach out to us and we can answer your specific case.
And if you do want to become an affiliate, you can just go right into the platform when you create an account. And Dan, since you have it up right now on the platform, you can just show where.
Yeah, let me show it to you. So organization, I believe it's here. Yep, it's here. Obviously, I'm not affiliate since I work here in this account, but I'm actually affiliate myself from the very old times before I joined Make. And here you basically create your affiliate code, insert your PayPal link, fill out a few items about your traffic, etc. And then you use your affiliate link in your content, and that's pretty much it. Whenever you pass a certain threshold of the lowest earnings possible, it's I think $100. and 3 organizations signed up, then you are able to apply for the payout. So it's pretty simple. It's super self-service. And I don't know how many affiliates we have at the moment. It's probably more than 1,000.
Yes. Can't give the exact number, but yes.
All right, so let's go back to chat, which I lost somewhere in my windows here. Okay, all right. Question and answer. Fun times. Here we go. So, suspended. When will Integromat be fully replaced by Make? Very good question. It's not going to happen this year, and we will see about the next year. But if you have lots of stuff running on Integromat, like you can stay calm. You don't have to worry about it. And whenever you feel like migrating, you can go through the migration flow. Ancy, one for you. When do interfaces go out of beta?
Yes, so I popped this in the chat as well.
See, okay,
so
I see. Okay.
No specific timing that I can share, but we're really excited that this will be one of our major product launches later this year. And a main goal of the Interfaces GA is going to be how we better kind of streamline the permissions experience through interfaces.
Okay, Shiran, one for you. How to best connect with you?
Add me on LinkedIn. I'm always there, and yeah, I'll reply.
Okay, so we have like 5 minutes left. There are no more technical questions coming, so I guess we will simply. Okay, well, I asked a technical question above. I don't see the question on this. I think Ancy has already answered this one.
It might be if you need to input a single file to an attachments field via Make.
Oh, okay. Here, simple file to field via Make. How do you do it? Okay. I will show you. This is gonna get really technical, but here I'm iterating through those answers, right? So if I had like 5 answers, this would create output of array with 5 collections with all those files. If you want to add a file to already existing files, the add function will not do it because, well, it might, but it depends on how you structure the array which you are adding. But if you basically have existing array of files and then you use add function to add the exactly same structure of that new file, and you just bump it together with add function, it should work. If it doesn't work, then it probably means that you are doing something wrong, and it's best to reach the support where someone will pick it up and they will give you a good answer, or they would even build it for you if it's simple enough. Okie dokie. I just joined this webinar. Can we have the recordings? Yes, the recording is coming tomorrow. So if you miss the beginning, middle, or end, you will get the recording, and it will be even available on YouTube, I think. Okay, guys, so thank you for joining. Thank you for making time to learn something new. It's not always easy to learn new stuff, so even just the fact that you actually came and show up, it means you are serious about it. So as I said, don't be afraid to start with Make. There is always our support team which can help. Probably the same for Airtable and Typeform if you get stuck. So go ahead and try automating your workflows, because as we said in the invite, life is play and you should be playing. Thanks. And see you maybe next time on a next webinar.